Hey y'all, today we are chatting about concealer shades.
I could break it down, take it back to the basics.
So I do have two videos on my channel already on how to select your foundation shade. I'll link them up here in the cards. But y'all have been asking me like, sis, how do I know what concealer shade to pick? And this is a video for you. So for me, concealers serve two main purposes: to conceal or to highlight. So based on the purpose that you want your concealer to serve will determine which shade you need to use. Another thing that's important when picking your shade, whether that's for foundation or concealer, you need to understand your skin tone, but also like your skin undertone. So the difference is like my skin tone, I am, in the dark deep category, the tan dark deep category. As a brown skinned woman, that is like my skin tone. Or like if someone's like, you brown skin, you light skin, what have you, like that is kind of like how you determine what part of the shade range you're in, from light to dark. Then you have your undertones. Your undertones is going to help you decide, like, out of those tan dark deep rich tones, what shade do I pick? Like, how do you determine what shade to pick after you narrow down, like, from light to dark, what range you're in? And undertones is what helps you make that decision. So your undertones is gonna be like what your natural undertones in your skin is. So you have like warm undertones, cool undertones, red, yellow, neutral, olive, like there's a whole bunch of different undertones that we can use to describe our skin. The main ones are warm, cool, and neutral. So if you feel like your skin has like an olive tint to it, you may need more olive neutral. If you feel like your skin has like a yellow tint to it, you may be more warm. A great example is when it comes to light skinned people, like back in the day, we would be like, oh, you a yellow bone, or oh, you a red bone. And that really spoke to your undertone. So like normally yellow bones are like people who have like a yellow undertone in their skin, and when they would refer to red bones, typically they would have like a reddish undertone to their skin. So that kind of applies no matter what shade range you're in. Like if you have yellow undertones, you got yellow undertones. If you got red, you got red. If you don't really have a certain color peeking through, then it's probably going to be neutral. I have also heard like if you wear a lot of gold jewelry, or gold jewelry looks better on a certain undertone versus silver, all the kind of things. You can Google it, but your undertone is very important when it comes to selecting which shade of concealer to wear. So like I said, I'll start off with concealer for concealing purposes. For me, if I want to conceal blemishes, dark marks, all those kind of things, I'm going to look for a concealer that is close to my skin tone. A concealer that basically is the same shade as my foundation, but the concealer has a different like consistency, and the product itself is more, it provides more coverage than a foundation typically would. So the closest like concealer that I currently have in my possession that's close to my skin tone is my Maybelline Eraser Concealer. This is in the shade 146. This is the concealer. Obviously, I just said this concealer is close to my skin tone, but you might be like, well, Slim, it ain't matching your hand. When it comes to like swatching concealers and foundations, you want to make sure you test it out on your skin. Take a day, go to Ulta, go to Sephora with no makeup on, and test out and swatch different tones on your skin. And when I say on your skin, I mean on your face. So if I lift this up to my face, as you can see, like, I'm bronzed right now, but as you can see, this is very close to my skin tone. So I would use a shade like this to conceal dark marks, conceal scarring, all those different kind of things. I would use a shade that's close to my skin tone. And I basically just swatch them in store on my face and see like which one I feel like matches the most. Now, when it comes to concealing, I typically recommend going 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation. Why? So right now I probably have about 2 shades lighter than my foundation. I feel like this gives me a nice brightening effect. Like I have a lot of dimension in my face with the concealer that I have on, so I just really like going 1 to 2 shades lighter. If you go like 3 shades lighter, like it's totally up to you and your preference and how you want your makeup to look. I know some girlies do like white concealer, or they do like a super bright concealer under the eye. It all depends on the look that you're going for. If you're looking for something more natural, like I said, I recommend going 1 to 2 shades lighter. If you use a concealer like this that is close to your skin tone and you want to highlight with a shade that's close to your skin tone, you're gonna notice that your face is gonna look a little bit more one-dimensional because it's basically like the same shade over your entire face. So the reason why people contour and highlight with a different shade than your foundation is to add dimension to the face. It's brighter here on the high points. It's darker here in the hollows of my cheeks and things like that. The foundation is typically like your overall skin tone. So the point of using different shades is to help add dimension to the face. I am gonna swatch a few concealers on my hand so you can see the difference. Okay, so I swatched all 4 of these concealers for you. This one is the Sephora Best Skin Ever. This is the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. This is the Too Faced Natural Radiant Born This Way Concealer. And this is my Sephora Bright Future Concealer. So as you can see, all of these shades have different undertones. For the most part, all of these shades, at least these top 3, are pretty much in the same tone. This one is just a touch darker, but this shade right here is more of a peachy reddish undertone. This one is a little bit more yellow, but it's slightly lighter than this shade right here. This shade is definitely more of a yellow undertone. And then this one right here is a great example of a more olive slash neutral undertone. So when you are looking for a concealer, like this is the shade that I have on right now. I like how bright it is. This shade right here probably wouldn't do me too well because I don't have a super olive undertone. This shade would work fine. And then this shade right here is a little bit more peachy, and like I said, it's about 1 shade darker, so this is kind of getting close to a concealer that's my skin tone. These 2 are getting close in shade. So my recommendation is to try 1 to 2 shades lighter, and then make sure your concealer corresponds with your undertone of your skin. As always, another tip when you're shade matching, you want to make sure you don't only test out the shades in your bathroom lighting or in good lighting. You want to make sure you try it in natural light as well. So go up to your window or go outside, take a mirror or your phone and like check and see what your makeup looks like, because it is going to vary in different lighting scenarios. So if you're trying to find the perfect shade, like test it out at the store, get you a sample or something, or put it on your face and wear it throughout the day and look at it in different lighting and see if that's the look that you're going for. You can always ask the associates to help shade match you. I personally haven't had the most effective experiences doing that, but shade matching is 9 times out of 10 going to be trial and error, whether you have help or whether you don't. You're going to have to buy the product, try it out, and then see what works for you. I will recommend trying out the LA Girl Pro concealers because these are typically under $5. You know, they used to be $2, but you know, inflation. But if you want to try out like a cheap concealer that's like decent quality, like this is a great one to try out. And if you get the wrong shade, like you can go in and try to find something close. If you do know the shade you're going for and you want to find it in a different brand, I still recommend foundation.com. Anytime a new product comes out and I'm trying to figure out what shade I need, I always go to foundation.com because it allows me to put in my holy grail top shade that I believe is my match, and it lets me find whatever brand like a corresponding shade in whatever brand or product I'm looking for. Last but not least is mixing and layering your concealers. So a lot of times you may see influencers or beauty gurus doing like one shade of concealer and then they go back on top with a brighter shade. Like, it is totally up to you how you do your makeup. It's up to your preference. Sometimes I'll do that if I want more coverage, or I want it just bright right here in the inner corner, but I want it to like fade out into a nice gradient on the edges. I may do 2 shades lighter right here and then 1 shade lighter out here so it blends out really nicely. Like, it's totally up to you. You can do that, mix, layer the concealers. There are different concealers that are like color correctors that may help you. So if you have a product like this olive colored one and you want to make it a little bit more warm and add like an orange color corrector or a yellow color corrector to make it more yellow, like, you can do that to try and make the product that you have work. There are also white color correctors that will help brighten a shade. Like, if you have a darker one and you want to brighten it up, you can mix in like white. So that's kind of getting into color theory and all of that stuff, but there's definitely options to make what you have work. But I hope this video helps you out so you can select your concealer shade and what best works for you and the makeup look that you're going for. So if you're still watching this video, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. I put out a lot of makeup videos to just help push you forward in your makeup journey. I love you guys, and y'all never forget, at the end of the day, without regrets, love yourself and be you, Tiffle. Bye, y'all.
All about natural beauty. Yeah, Slim Reshae.